Hey, it's Alan Berg. Before we get into this episode, I'm starting something called Ask Me Anything. That's right. You submit your questions and they could become an entire episode or something that I answer at the end of an episode. To submit your questions, look for the red button at podcast.alanberg.com. That's right, podcast.alanberg.com. Click on the red button, submit your question, and maybe you'll hear it here on the podcast. Thanks. Are you feeling the COVID hangover? Listen to this episode and find out what I'm talking about. Welcome to another episode of the Wedding Business Solutions Podcast. I'm your host, Alan Berg. I'm a speaker, author, sales trainer, website reviewer, and I help businesses like yours sell more, profit more, and have more fun doing it. Enjoy this episode. Hi, it's Alan Berg. Welcome back to another episode of the Wedding Business Solutions Podcast. This is something that's come up a lot lately with my clients at conferences, in my consultations and sales training. And it's just feeling what's different now. I always call it the next normal, not the new normal, because there's just going to be a next one after that. And I think what we're feeling now is what I call the COVID hangover, which is the last 4 years, 5 years even for a lot of us, has just been this crazy time that hasn't been anything like what it was before. Before, when we went to the next normal, it was more of an increment. It wasn't a big leap. And we had these crazy swings with COVID going down to zero and then going up to 140%. And then this is like the waves that are trying to level themselves here. And this is why I'm kind of calling it the COVID hangover. We're back to a point where we have to do some more work. We're back to a point where people aren't beating down the doors to get married on a Thursday, right? Or have their event during the week when they would normally only do them on the weekends. And that's, again, why I'm calling it, this COVID hangover, because a lot of people haven't been in the industry that long, haven't been in your position in your company, owning it or working in it, since 2019 or 2018, right? A lot of you started after that point. So you don't know what normal really is. And this is a point where we have to do work. We have to do something a little bit different. We have to follow up more. We have to look at the way that we're responding to inquiries. We have to do our marketing and advertising in a different way, because we always have to adapt that. We always have to tweak and change that. But you have to make sure that you're not blaming outside forces for this, because, listen, we're only in control of so much. But if you're getting inquiries, that's a good sign. If they're not the right inquiries, what makes you say that? How do you define that it's not the right inquiry? Right? Just because they ghost you doesn't mean it's not the right inquiry. Because they can't afford what prices. Maybe you're marketing and advertising. Maybe you're attracting the wrong people. That's possible. But also maybe it's just your sales skills. Maybe it's something you need to do to tweak that. And I certainly have lots of podcasts about that. It's in my books for sure. It's in my sales training, whether it's private or mastermind or whatever. So if you go to podcast.alanberg.com, if you're not already seeing this on your podcast app on YouTube or Apple or whatever it is, you'll see all the ones there. On podcast.alanberg.com, besides Ask Me Anything, there's also the ability there to see the upcoming masterminds, masterclasses, and things that I have coming up. But that's not what this is about. What this is about is understanding that what happened last year, what happened the year before, is not normal, right? That's not normal. We're getting back to what's normal. Normal means you have to do some work. It's not supposed to be an easy slam dunk here. It's called work for a reason. So this is the COVID hangover. Take whatever you like to do. If you have a hangover, hopefully you don't, but whatever you like to do to say, okay, I need to come out of this cloud and say, now I'm getting inquiries. Let me work them better. This is what normal really looks like. And then you start to fill your calendar again. Plus, we're in a crazy presidential election year. And if I haven't said this before, if you haven't heard it, every 4 years, things get a little wonky. This year is no different. People waiting longer to book. I think I've heard this for the last 25, 30 years. Every 4 years, things just get a little wonky that way. Add that to the COVID hangover and even more. So hope it gives you something to think about. Thanks. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Wedding Business Solutions podcast. If you liked it, please subscribe to this channel and post a review on your chosen platform, Apple Podcasts or whichever one. If you have any questions about anything in this episode or any of my episodes, email me directly at alan@weddingbusinesssolutions.com or visit my website, alanberg.com, alanberg.com. If you have any suggestions for future topics or guests that you'd like to see, please again email me or visit my website. Thanks for listening.